when you were an undergraduate?
Yes.
Oxford, of course.
Of course. Oxford. Yes.
Last refuge of the lost cause.
Bells across the meadow. Dreaming spires. Punts on the river and champagne and...
We are potentially encouraging further attacks of this kind.
Is democracy at risk as Chinese officials being blamed for the hacking of British voters' details, the attack in 2022 seeing 40 million people's personal data accessed?
Well, yes, it could be. I mean, the reality is that we, of course, do have an election coming up fairly soon. We're worried about data breaches. We're worried about the ability of foreign countries to perhaps interfere in the process, whether that is by direct hacking to discover, voters' details and doing something with that, or, of course, the dangers that AI now present in terms of deep fakes and other propaganda that can be pushed out. So there's a very real threat to democracy, which is why, in an election year particularly, the government has to get a handle on this and make it quite clear to China that we will not tolerate this kind of behaviour and there will be consequences.
And there are concerns that hostile states have been spreading online conspiracy theories about the Princess of Wales. Why would they be interested in that?
Well, it's a good way to destabilise a country. So if you start spreading rumours and you start spreading lies about what's going on, you start getting people in your target country asking questions. Well, what is happening? What is going on? Why is there secrecy? All of this. And it's a great way just to sow dissent and to increase social discord within a country. It's also, by the way, of course, why the Americans have recently labelled TikTok such a threat. They regard Chinese ownership of TikTok as being particularly detrimental to societal harmony because they believe there's a backdoor to the Chinese government that enables the government to essentially control the algorithm and cause further dissension within the West.
China says they're not doing it. They've described the reports as false.
Would say that, wouldn't they, to coin the famous phrase. But I think there's enough evidence for the fact that we're going to see a government statement on the subject. There's been a 2-year investigation. It's quite clear that China was responsible. It's quite clear that China is trying to hack politicians and those involved in politics in that way. They're not just doing it here, they're doing it across the board, which reminds us this is not just a battle that the UK is facing. And arguably what we should be doing is collectively taking on China about this rather than going on individually. There should be a compact between those countries where democracy is under threat because of Chinese attempts to interfere with it, and we should be going collectively to respond to China in that way.
And during that press conference, we heard one of the Tory MPs, I think it was Tim Loughton, he said it, that there wouldn't be a risk to trade if we did sort of crack down, became harsher with China on our relationship, and we stood up to them when they are carrying out these attacks.
Yes, I think the reality is that if we did it collectively and we brought together a group of countries, there wouldn't be a risk to trade. I think there's always been a danger on facing off China on your own because they then try and punish you. That's part of the bully boy tactics they operate. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it because it's the right thing to do. We can't be staring down the barrel of the gun, worried about a trade digit here or there because China's interfering. We have to stand up to them, but it's better to stand up together collectively and present a united front of Western democracies and other democracies, for that matter. It's not just the West, who are under threat in this way, and that gives you a much better chance of forcing China to accept it cannot behave as it wants to in this area.
Great to talk to you as ever. Thanks for joining us here on LBC News, Dr. Alan Mendoza, Executive Director at the Henry Jackson Society.
LBC News.
28 minutes after 2 now here on LBC News. 2 men have been found guilty of murdering a semi-pro footballer in a nightclub in Birmingham. Remy Gordon and Cammy Carpenter stabbed and killed Cody Fisher in Crane on Boxing Day back in 2022. Michelle Thorogood was one of these senior investigators on the case. She told us it all happened because of something 2 days earlier.
Remy Gordon, we know that he was involved in an incident on Christmas Eve in Potworld in Solihull, whereby Cody Fisher was there with his friend, Remy was there with one of his friends. Towards the end of the evening, Cody and his friend are leaving the premises and accidentally bump into Remy. Remy appears to take offence at this. There is a conversation between them in which we believe that Cody was invited to go outside and fight. Cody chose not to do that. We believe equally he chose not to apologise because he didn't feel he had anything quite rightly to apologise for. On the back of that, Remy Gordon, through social media and a network of friends and acquaintances, managed to get hold of some imagery of Cody, which he used to identify him. And then conversations took place between Remy and his group of friends between Christmas Eve and Boxing Day, discussing what, in his view, he needed to do to Cody. And then on the evening of the 26th, we know that Remy and a large group of his friends and associates, and towards the very end of the evening, what we know from the CCTV and other footage and witness testimony is that Remy, along with those friends, approach Cody. A fight very quickly breaks out, and very quickly Cody is stabbed.
This is LBC News.
Also this hour, a report into the stabbings in Nottingham last year has called on ministers to consider recategorising homicide laws. A watchdog has found prosecutors were right to charge killer Valdo Kalakani with manslaughter despite criticism from the victims' families, but it warned the case could have been handled better. Off Gems, energy price cap could be replaced with a dynamic system, the regulator looking at a cap based on the time of day and customers' vulnerability. It currently fixes the maximum price per unit for energy on a standard tariff. And in sport, England players will wear shirts without names during tomorrow's men's friendly against Belgium. It's part of an FA campaign to raise awareness of dementia. The shirts will be auctioned after the match to raise funds for Alzheimer's research. Right, to the city then, and the FTSE 100 short time ago down 4 points at 79.22. Let's bring in Susanna Street, ahead of Money and Markets at Hargreaves Lansdown for more of today's business headlines. Afternoon to you, Susanna. Kicking off first of all, cocoa prices. They're rising just in time for Easter.
Yes, they certainly are. Surged to historic highs ahead of the Easter extravaganza, and it does indicate that even pricier products will hit the shelves in the months to come, and already big manufacturers like the Cadbury's owner Mondelez have warned that they may have to raise prices again as a consequence. And so this fresh upswing in cocoa prices to breach $9,300 per tonne is linked to concerns about tight supplies in West Africa, with some plants reducing activity due to financing issues, and shipments from the Ivory Coast were down by almost a third between October and March compared to the same period last year. So this surge in the cost of raw materials will prompt a fresh rethink of strategy among manufacturers, because sugar prices, they dipped back slightly from January highs but remain hovering near levels not seen since 2017. Bars, though, have already been hit by shrinkflation, and I don't think shoppers will be impressed by another Willy Wonka-style disappearing act. It seems likely prices may range again across a range of goods, but that's going to be a headache really to manage for the likes of Nestle and Mondelez, because shoppers have already been drifting away, not prepared to pay the higher prices.
Next, I mentioned the FTSE 100. It seems to be struggling to regain its mojo.
Yeah, so it has started the week within sight of record highs, but seems to be lacking fresh momentum today. But optimism had been surging about the prospects, interest rate cuts, and bright economic horizons ahead, despite some uncertainty lingering about stubborn inflation in the US. And that's given the FTSE 100 a real power surge over the past week. It was down more earlier, but actually in the last hour or so it's regained some ground, so hopefully it's not going to reverse significantly this more positive sentiment towards London stocks, and I think it's really because investors have been eyeing up lower borrowing costs from the summer amid this easing of inflationary pressures.
Some worries about the owner of B&Q.
So yes, we've had results out from Kingfisher, that owns B&Q, but also the Castorama chain in France, and it's still very much in repair mode, with its performance damaged by the cost of living headwinds, of course, and the still struggling housing market. It issued the third warning in 6 months about the outlook for profits. They fell 25% for the full year. Now, there had been hopes that with interest rates cuts eyed on the horizon and UK house prices stabilising, that demand for DIY products and services would bounce back, but the company says due to the lag between house sales and renovation projects being green-lit, recovery is further back on the horizon.
And what's going on with gas prices?
Well, we've had fresh conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine has been targeting refineries in Russia, and Russia has retaliated by a major string of attacks on Sunday, including to its energy infrastructure and gas installations, and that's why you've seen gas prices rise today as a result of that. And certainly all of this increased tension, including ongoing concerns about the fact that a ceasefire doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon in the Middle East and in Gaza, but that's all also keeping a floor under oil prices as well.
Susanna, thank you very much indeed. Susanna Street ahead of Money and Markets at Hargreaves down to Lansdowne with our business roundup there. 2:35 now in sport. England have dropped to the bottom of cricket's World Test Championship standings. Sri Lanka leapfrogged them after their 328-run thrashing of Bangladesh. Had England not been docked 19 points for slow over rates in 4 of last year's 5 Ashes tests, they'd be 4 places higher in 5th. And England captain Harry Kane has resumed light training with Bayern Munich after returning to the German Giants from international duty. He missed Saturday's defeat to Brazil, and he won't be available against Belgium at Wembley tomorrow as he continues his recovery from an ankle injury. The former Tottenham striker scored 31 goals so far in his debut season in the Bundesliga. Right, coming up next here on LBC News, 2:35 now, but we'll be talking about Boeing. Experts have told us that there is a big resignation at Boeing. The CEO is stepping down. There's been a lot of problems, of course, as experts say, about the major manufacturer. They've had a whole host of issues over the last few years. We'll talk more about that with our aviation analyst, Alex Macheras, in the next 10 minutes.
LBC News. Weather.
Cloudy for London today with a mix of light rain showers, clearing through the afternoon to bright spells. Breezy with highs of 11 degrees. Tonight staying cloudy but dry for London with the chance of more rain by dawn. A cloudy start tomorrow with outbreaks of rain which could turn heavy at times. Light winds and highs of 13. Looking ahead, strong winds on Wednesday with more showers and a few bright spells. Temperatures staying below average for London for this time of year and feeling chilly in the winds.
LBC News.
This is what award-winning customer service sounds like from real Octopus Energy calls.
Truly, sincerely cannot thank you enough for everything you have done. I really, truly mean that. All of you, the whole of Octopus as a company overall, you are, for a good reason, one of the best energy companies to be with, and I cannot be more happy being with yourselves. Thank you ever so much.
Octopus Energy, outstanding service at fair prices.
Over 50 million of us love investing with Vanguard. It makes us go.
Exactly. I love knowing they've got over 45 years experience.
I love the low fees, so I can keep more returns.
And I love how straightforward they've made investing, so I can focus on the things I really love.
Join more than 50 million investors around the world who love Vanguard Value. Vanguard, value to investors. When investing, your capital is at risk.
Businesses across the land, whatever kind of business you're in, BT's got your back. We're talking small business, big business, new business, old business.
Top secret business?
Well, that's your business.
But yes.
Global business, serious business, family business.
What about show business?
Yes, all the businesses. So whatever your business, let us take care of business with our secure and reliable connectivity. BT's got your back. Search BT's got your back.
The McCrispy Deluxe is back until the 16th of April. Get both your hands round your tasty favourite with smoky bacon, hot and spicy mayo and a caramelised onion relish. Chicken that hits different. Available until the 16th of April. Served after 11 a.m, subject to availability.
I never thought of myself as the giving type, but I guess I am. I give my elderly neighbour's dog a walk every night, despite its barking being my alarm clock every morning. And I give blood when I can, because it helps combat cancer.
Reduce it to some kind of sickness or psychiatric disturbance or a... Look, once and for all, I am what I am, and I did what I did because of what I believe, and not because of some psychosis or neurosis or shadow that still haunts me from the cradle or the cricket pavilion or whatever else. I mean, understand?
So sorry. Stupid of me to make such an elementary blunder as to presume that there might be occasions when the child is father to the man.
There are millions of children in the biggest part of the world, Mr. James, never even get a chance to grow up. They starve. So don't go quoting bloody Wordsworth to me.
Personal experience. He's talking about personal experience.
I know what he's talking about.
You never had such experiences. Poverty or starvation or concentration camp.
No, not at all. I went from prep school to Eton, and from Eton to Oxford, and from Oxford to the Brigaded Guards to the Foreign Office. All the way from a nursery with a wooden rocking horse to a nursery with a wooden rocking horse. Giddy up, giddy up.
But you've let go of nurse, Mr. Harris. Have you found anything better?
But?
And always keep a hold of nurse for fear of finding something worse.
Literate, aren't you?
Eh?
Well, congratulations. But it must be one hell of a problem for you when you came to your stories stuffed with the tabloids from a literate wickedness.
That's right.
A few sordid little paragraphs with a nasty big headache, right? Pasted up between the tit and the thigh, free press, right? Tit and thigh and literate wickedness.
It's a living. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not responsible for the tit and thigh, as you put it.
What are you doing?
He's taking a photograph.
I said no. No, 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 no.
If thou shouldst never see my face again, pray for my soul. More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of. Wherefore, let thy voice rise like a fountain for me night and day. Adrian? Adrian, are you all right? This is what King Arthur says. Listen, boy, listen to this. You'll be asleep soon. Close your eyes, Adrian. Close your eyes, my little...
Massage off Sandy. I changed the light bulb in the bathroom the other day, and I unpacked the shopping Wednesday, and I was born here. And all that rhubarb crumble I brought home the other day. I'm not a lodger.
Well, at the age of 28, Rick, I think technically you are a lodger.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You get fed, you use heat, water, the machines, the towels, general wear and tear.
Oh,
I mean, I
this
can go
is
on.
out of order. This is just...
Just sit there and think about it, Rick. Now, I'm going to make myself some tea, beginning with F. Fuchsia.
You know, I don't see how all these blue pieces can fit into this space. Yeah, there are just too many of them.
I'm sure this Scotsman is wearing someone else's hat.
I didn't put that hat on that Scotsman. Yeah, who keeps doing this jigsaw in the night when I'm not looking?
It must be the elves. There are a lot around at the moment.
Oh, no.
Ah, Stella, on a point of information, what are two bird baths doing in the garden? Is it one for the boys and one for the girls?
No, I went back to get us a bird bath and they changed the offer. No, it's buy one, get one free.
Where's this man's feather? He should have a feather in his hat. Oh, there's a piece missing. Oh.
We'll take the extra bird bath down to Bethany's cottage at the weekend. Little thank you.
Give yourself a break, Egg. Go and do some nice relaxing revision.
All right. But tell the elves not to touch the jigsaw again.
By the way, Rick's found out he's been paying rent.
Well, you know how I feel about that, Stella. I don't think we should...
BBC iPlayer, so it means that many people are actually watching it for the first time. The Dropout, which is an 8-part drama starring Amanda Seyfried, and it's a Disney Plus series made in America. It looks at the rise and fall of the billionaire Elizabeth Holmes, the CEO of the company Theranos. She was once the youngest and wealthiest self-made billionaire, and the company had claimed to have made a device which you could have in your own home, but I think they also had a deal with a supermarket that would be able to test any sort of health condition, from cancer to diabetes.
And it didn't work.
Didn't work, but what was the fascinating thing is, not only did it not work, she had told countless people that it did. So even though the scientists are there constantly going, can we just cancel it? Can you stop selling this product? She just ploughed through, and she ended up, she's in jail now. She, for fraud.
Is she really?
Yeah, so I think she was convicted for fraud in connection to it. So this drama sort of is a great biographical drama looking at the company, her rise and fall, but in particular her. It looks at how she just kept doubling down, essentially. I think possibly with the vain idea that everything would come together at the very end. It's a nostalgia fest, this TV show. Sometimes a little bit too riddled in nostalgia because it's set in the noughties. For example, there's a Dido CD in the car and someone turns on the TV and Enron is collapsing. So yes, it can be a little bit forced at times, but it's brilliantly acted. I loved it.
Are there any clips of people going on the internet and then footage of people tapping on keyboards to show that they're going on the internet? You know, the things that really wind Hayley up when they're trying to show technology.
Yeah, I liked the Dropout. She does do a lot of stuff with her iPod, I remember.
A lot of stuff with an iPod. And there's lots of, I mean, this is not an Apple show, but a remarkable amount of IMAX and Apple products, I guess, to reinforce that this was the mid-early noughties when it came through. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good, and all episodes are available on iPad.
She got 11 years and 3 months sentence for her role in wire fraud at the now defunct company.
But the company was worth, at one point, or speculated to have been worth $9 billion.
So this is interesting because you get investors, the excitement. She's a young woman. I think she's really well educated as well, I seem to remember.
Yeah.
Did she go to an Ivy League university before?
I believe she did, but the thing that I loved hearing about her the most was how she changed her voice so she would sound more, she'd carry more weight in a meeting room. She had a normal sort of high-pitched voice and she lowered it. And so Amanda Seyfried has to do it a bit, but she still doesn't come off as strange sounding as the real one.
Right, well the real one dropped out of Stanford at the age of 19 to launch the company, and that
it's the name of the show.
You can totally see why these kind of investors just got carried away by this idea.
If it worked, it would have been an amazing idea.
Yeah, it would have been worth more than $9 billion.
Yeah, it was just a tiny little detail in the fact that it didn't work. It was all nonsense.
Slight hitch.
I get a lot. I guess a lot of people, or a few people, lost a lot of money. I can imagine through all of this as well. Okay, now we have some time for some emails that have been sent to Mustwatch. This is one of my favourite parts of Mustwatch, the emails from people. Namely because now I think people have largely given up doing the proper order of Nihal, Scott and Hayley by surname alphabetical order. They've just kind of given up. Yeah?
I think every single email bar one this week has gone for alternatives to either ranking our names in whatever order, trying to get around the system.
Is it possible they just want us to get past that and talk about TV? And so they're trying not to make us
sure
go
that's
on.
how podcasts work. You mean detail orientated, you mean, as opposed to just fluff and tangential nonsense? This is weird. What a weird concept. All right, maybe they have. Yeah, you're right. Maybe they have. Maybe it's just me that's still obsessing about this in my own fragility. Scott?
Anyway,
over to Peter Hook. I wonder if it's that Peter Hook.
I wonder this every time because we've had Peter Hook email in before, and I like to think it is Peter Hook.
I'd love to
from
think
Joy Division.
Yeah, I'd love to think it was an interesting man. Very interesting man.
Very interesting man. See, you could have him at 2, and then I was on at 2:30. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Says, hello, Must-Watch team. Did I miss the review of Channel 5's drama Coma? I definitely think it is a must-watch, but I'm interested to know what the team thinks about shows that have a lead character whose actions really make you squirm. In this case, it is the wonderfully ordinary Jason Watkins, who always seems to get lumbered with anxious, fairly hopeless and indecisive characters. In Coma, he is pathetic most of the time, and when he tries to assert himself, he just makes it worse. It is a fascinating drama, but I felt exhausted by the end from mentally yelling, "Don't!" to the screen. As professional TV watchers, can you detach yourselves from the characters, or do you have to look away at times when someone throws themselves headlong
into Disaster. P.S. The gentleman is gratuitous rubbish, unworthy of his actors.
Wow.
It's a hook from Joy Division. Allegedly.
Unworthy of its actors. Jason Watkins is a very nice man. He's been on the show a couple of times before, actually. He's a very nice man. And then you can totally... This is him, right? These are the characters Jason Watkins tends to play, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I do like watching characters throw themselves headlong into disaster. Imagine watching TV shows where people just got on with stuff and nothing ever happened that was bad.
Well,
That would be so boring.
well, you two have done that literally for your job. Sometimes had to do that. So, I mean,
not must-watches.
Yeah, no,
Some
definitely
stuff-
not must-watches.
some
Okay.
stuff didn't happen.
Should we just have a few moments to assess the gentleman is just gratuitous rubbish, unworthy of its actors? Because that's stark in its. I mean, that's not a must-watch. That's not one of yours. With caveats, no. That's a straight. Not
But
must.
I didn't like the
I know.
gentleman. But I realised that I've never really got Guy Ritchie stuff.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun nonsense and exactly what you would expect from Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
So,
Now, Kate in Bristol sent in her recommendations. Who wants to read that out? Scott?
yeah.
Oh, Hayley, you do it.
Kate says, "Hey, the Three Musketeers.
Like that.
I have wanted to thank you guys for your recommendations for a while. My other half and I class out 2 hours in front of the TV at the end of the day when the kids are finally in bed as our sacrilege time." Do you mean sacred time? Our chosen
Could be
content
sacrilege time.
depends what you're up to.
Yeah, exactly. Kate in Bristol. Lively. Lively, Kate. Sacrilege
chosen-
time.
Allegedly.
Love the idea that you'd have sacrilege time. I'm not sure what it would mean, and certainly get me kicked off the radio. Add that to the list of if I had sacrilege time. Now that's a feature. Sacrilege time. Wow. You won't get that on Songs of Praise. Right, carry on.
Not sure we'll
What
get
a
this
tangent.
commissioned.
Our chosen content ranges from teen school angst, comedy to US political drama. Recent enjoyments have been One Day,
Yes.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
Atypical, and True Detective.
Oh, I wasn't sure about
Which
True
series?
Detective. Season 4, wasn't sure.
Yeah, no one was sure about it. We're currently working our way through Kin. However, my obsession for the past 18 months has been Young Royals on Netflix. As a 44-year-old straight woman, I'm not its target audience, but I am a sucker for a love story. This story has been told in such a beautiful way. The actors are incredible, the cinematography is insane, and the chemistry is off the charts. Its theme, based around the Swedish royal family, the crown prince falls in love with a boy, however his sexuality is never portrayed as the issue, rather his status in the royal family. Also, themes around ethnicity, class privilege and prejudice are all explored. The final, which was shown on Monday the 18th, was a masterpiece in finishing a story and providing a fitting end to much-loved characters. That's from Kate from Bristol. Maybe the guys who made Game of Thrones should watch it.
Okay, bit of breaking news to bring you. The UN Security Council has passed the resolution that, for the first time, demands an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Now, the US abstained in the vote. On Twitter, or X as it's now called in the past few minutes, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said the Security Council just approved a long-awaited resolution on Gaza demanding an immediate ceasefire and the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. This resolution must be implemented. Failure would be unforgivable. We'll bring you more on this after 3, but a quite considerable development that has happened in the UN Security Council in the last few moments or so, and we'll bring you more of that as we get it. All right, let's continue with the emails that we had. Kate in Bristol, thank you very much indeed for your sacrilegious evenings. Graham Jones got in touch. Graham, I like this, Hayley, this kind of old school way that Graham addresses us.
He says, "Dear lady and gentleman."
A lady and gentleman.
I'm writing to express my admiration for your podcast and to point you in the direction of something worthy of your time, Catch Me a Killer on Now TV, which is an 11-part South African true crime series based on the book by Nikki Pistorius. It's set in the 1900s and follows her profiling some of the most horrendous serial killers active at the time. She was the first ever female forensic psychologist. Mickey is played by the English actress Charlotte Hope, and viewer discretion is advised as it goes into some very dark places. The downside is that she is a chain smoker, and like Nahal, I hate the way it is fetishized on screen, but it is well worth the effort. So there you go, mister. In between watching this sort of thing and podcast listening, I try to lead a normal life. Best wishes from Graham Jones.
Love that, Graham. Love that, Graham.
I misread that email and I thought it was implying that Nahal was a chain smoker there for a second until I read the next part of that sentence.
Definitely not. Definitely. Oh gosh, is that breaking partiality laws? I don't know. You'll have to. No, definitely not. And yeah, I do kind of hate the way it's fetishized on screen. I just genuinely always makes me ask the question every time: is this how they've got round advertising bans?
Does it annoy your wife when you interrupt the show to go, does he really need to light that cigarette? Is he squinting in that smoke? Does he really need to do that?
Now, the thing that annoys the most is because we've got an electric car, every time I drive past and see the price of diesel, I go, God grief, I can't, but like literally every time. And she just goes, can you just stop going on about it? I goes, yeah, but look, it's like one, whatever. And she's like, yeah, but why does it matter? And I went, well, look, you know, if previously I was filling up, this is how much it would cost. And she'd be like, yeah, but you're not. What are you
Such
doing?
a fascinating anecdote.
Such a dad thing to say. Oh, rubbish. Dad thinks, so yeah, that winds her up.
What can't help yourself though.
I can't. It's like you and bus route.